So it's, as of this filming, Star Wars Day, May the 4th, be with you, and also with you. We watched Tales of the Underworld, which is a Clone Wars style anthology. They put out basically every year now. They've done Tales of the Jedi, Tales of something else, and then they did Tales of the Underworld. So it followed two really cool Clone Wars era characters. They had Asajj Ventress. For people that aren't familiar, it's the assassin from Clone Wars, or from Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. And then it followed Cad Bane, who we last saw in the Book of Boba Fett on Tatooine. So really cool series. I liked it a lot. It was very focused. It was like 5 or 6 episodes, and it had like a 3-episode arc for each of them. It was just cool to see those characters again. I really like the Clone Wars. I like the pacing. I feel like every bit of writing is very intentional, from how they view certain actions in the Star Wars universe as like inherently political, and they kind of weigh in whether those things are good or evil or not. And I really liked seeing what they do with these characters. So if you haven't watched it, I'd give it a shot. Each episode's like 15-20 minutes long. It's not that long, so overall it's about a little over an hour. So Tales of the Underworld, I think I'd give like a 3.5 or 4 stars out of 5. All right, Thunderbolts. Asterisk. So Thunderbolts, we saw on opening night, and I'm glad we did because there's lots of spoilers. So I'll do my spoiler-free review. Thunderbolts asterisk is a very like psychological and mental health focused superhero movie. It's kind of dark, so if you have like young kids, I would maybe preview it prior to. But other than that, I think it's a must-see. Thunderbolts is kind of like a B or C list Marvel team that everyone was kind of confused when they announced the movie. Why is this being made? Who is this for? But they clearly had a really unique vision, and they executed it really well. So hats off to everyone involved in the movie. They kind of took, again, like B and C list characters from the MCU. So you took Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. You took John Walker from Falcon Winter Soldier. You took basically half of the Black Widow movie, Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie, and they kind of just had a really fun story to tell, and it was very personal and very intimate and authentic and vulnerable, which was really nice. It's definitely something I haven't seen from a superhero movie in a long time, if at all, and it pulled it off really well. It was really fun. Not a whole lot of fluff, lots of spoilers, lots of action, lots of emotion, and really just a fun ride. I'll definitely be watching it a second time just to kind of see if there's anything, now that I know what happens in the movie, on a second watch that's fun from that new perspective. So spoilers are going to be in not in short supply for the rest of the video. So if you haven't seen Thunderbolts asterisk, please either turn off the video, pause it, go watch Thunderbolts, come back. But if you're here for the spoilers, we're getting right into it. First of all, the Wheaties end credit was just silly. That was the first one, the one obviously you're not talking about, but the Wheaties one was very silly. I love David Harbour as the Red Guardian, and it's weird to have like the weird product placement of Wheaties because I feel like no one eats Wheaties anymore, but I get what they're going for, and it was really funny. But the big end credit scene that everybody obviously has massive spoilers and everybody's talking about is the new Avengers headquarters, I guess. So Bob and Yelena and the gang are hanging out in their new headquarters as the new Avengers, and they're monitoring a space threat, and an interdimensional feed comes up showing the Fantastic Four ship flying through into the sacred timeline of the MCU. So that was really exciting. I don't know if the space event that they were monitoring is that, or if there's another thing going on. So I guess we'll find out in Avengers Doomsday what they're talking about. It made me really excited for Fantastic Four, and I was already excited for Fantastic Four. So now that I know Reed and hopefully some other people will be coming through into the sacred timeline via that little spaceship, I'm really excited to see in context how that works in the movie, because my initial thought was, well, they show them in the trailer going on a space mission and then coming back with their powers. So maybe my first thought was, is that the initial flight that they took, and then like a couple of years passed, and they've come into the sacred timeline and gone back, and gotten their powers just by being in multi-dimensional travel, maybe, or at the end of the movie they're escaping maybe Galactus, eating their planet, or some incursions happening on the planet after they defeated Galactus, and they're kind of escaping that, because in the 2015 Secret Wars, really the solution to that is that they don't have a solution for the incursions, and Reed builds like a multiversal bus, like a little transport ship that he takes like a dozen or so Marvel heroes through, and then they come back to the fallout of the incursion. So that was really where my head went. Either it's the initial space flight or it's that transport from the Secret Wars comic. So we just talked about the end credit scene for Thunderbolts Asterisk, and again, if you are not if you're not here for spoilers, please pause or turn off the video, come back after you've seen Thunderbolts. So these will be our predictions for Fantastic Four and or Avengers, Secret Wars, and Doomsday.
The new Avengers.
Alright, so will the new Avengers be in Doomsday? I think it's an obvious yes. And I think it'll be in the form that we saw all of the characters that showed up in Thunderbolts and in the end credits scene. I think are going to be in it.
Black Widow.
So Yelena leading the new Avengers. I do believe she'll be in the movie, yes.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, yes. However, I'm going to put a Thunderbolts asterisk on that and say I don't really know if his congressional duties are going to keep him as like an active member of the new Avengers. It seems like he's pretty on board based on their conversation in the end credit scene where he's talking about Sam Wilson, right, Captain America, who's leading the Avengers that the President of the United States asked him to make. He's maybe trying to bridge the gap between their two teams, but I don't know how active Bucky will be, but I do think he'll be in the movie. In what capacity, we have yet to see.
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian will 100% be in Doomsday and in the new Avengers. Yes.
The U.S. Agent, John Walker.
John Walker will unfortunately return in Doomsday. Yes.
And Ghost?
Ghost, yes. She will 100% be back. I love Ghost. I hope we get to see her do some more cool stuff, because I feel like even in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where she was maybe the main villain, in a big way, I still feel like we need to see more Ghost.
Bob,
yes. Bob will be in the movie. Will Bob be the comic relief civilian Bob? Yes. Will he go Sentry? And if he does, will he go Void? I don't know. Since it's a prediction, I'm going to say that in Doomsday, he's not Sentry, but in Secret Wars, he uses his powers. That'd be my prediction.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Alright, everybody's favorite, Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. I think she'll basically be the Nick Fury to the new Avengers. So yes, I do think she'll be in the movie.
Do you think she'll be impeached?
I hope so. If not for selfish reasons. Yeah, I do think she'll be impeached.
The Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, yes. It's pretty obvious they're coming through to the Sacred Timeline, given the end credit scene. Who's exactly on that bus is a good question.
Reed Richards?
I do think Reed is on the bus. I think he's going to be a big vehicle for explaining the plot of the incursions and Secret Wars and everything. So I do think he's alive in after the Fantastic Four movie and then into Doomsday and Secret Wars, yes.
And his wife, Sue Richards?
Yes. Being pregnant, I think she's also going to be required to be alive to give birth to Franklin and Valerie. So, yes, I do think she's alive. The Human Torch and the Thing, I think, are hard to think about because they're both different types of charming, and, like, their deaths could be used in Fantastic Four to kind of, like, Johnny's annoying, right? We all know he's a jokester and kind of, his bravado can be kind of troublesome, but really he's ultimately really kind-hearted and loves his family and everything. So I'm going to say Johnny's alive, and if they kill anyone, it's going to be the Thing, unfortunately.
Franklin Richards?
I do think that Franklin and his sister are going to show up in, if not Doomsday, in Secret Wars, yes.
Galactus.
Galactus is a hard one. So, in Secret Wars 1985, in the original Secret Wars, Doom basically brings together a bunch of heroes from the Marvel Universe to fight Galactus. He's kind of the big threat on Battleworld outside of Doom himself. So, I mean, obviously he'll be in Fantastic Four, and who's to say there's not a Galactus in the main timeline that maybe Arishem gets to bring back for Judgment? I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Silver Surfer?
Same thing with Silver Surfer. If the Galactus trilogy story happens the same way it does in the comic in the Fantastic Four movie, I do think the Silver Surfer is going to be an ally to the Fantastic Four, not just the Herald of Galactus and the Bringer of Death. So the Shia LaBeouf version can be redeemed and hopefully comes through the portal. But if not, I mean, the Sacred Timeline could have its own Silver Surfer. So I'm going to say yes on either account.
So you do think there might be a Norrin Rad Surfer?
I think it's very possible, especially if, as we're getting into the Incursion conversation, but if the Fantastic Four and the X-Men universes are two different universes, then you have both the Sacred Timeline and the X-Men universe to where a potential Norrin Rad Surfer could exist. So I'm going to say yes to Norrin Rad.
Is the Earth destroyed in Fantastic Four?
I think yes. In the trailer, Reed Richards is asked, are we safe? Are we going to be okay, essentially? And he says, I don't know. And then also in a press conference, he says, we will protect you. And those things will kind of lead me to believe that that they're not safe and that he cannot protect them, and that Galactus does in fact eat the planet, which I think is how the Fantastic Four movie is going to end.
Do you think the Fantastic Four movie takes place in the Fox X-Men universe?
It's an interesting one because the Days of Future Past goes back to, I think, the 70s, or maybe the late 60s, and then, okay, yeah, it's First Class is like the 60s, Days of Future Past is the 70s, Apocalypse is the 80s, and then going into the 90s is your Dark Phoenix. So it'd be hard to tell me that the same 60s universe from First Class is the Fantastic Four 60s, like, retro-futurism of, like, the Jetsons style. I just don't see those universes coexisting, so I don't think they are. No.
Will the Fantastic Four jet coming to the Sacred Timeline start the Incursion?
Man, that's hard. Will it start the Incursion is the question. Mm-hmm. So the Incursion is, for those who don't know, in the Secret Wars comic from about 10 years ago, the multiverse is collapsing. It's folding in on itself. Every two universes that have a pair of Earths, they'll crash into each other, and so slowly the infinite number of universes starts dwindling down into a very finite amount. And so the Illuminati, which we saw in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, in the comics, they're the team that identifies that this is happening in the multiverse, and so they kind of try to come up with a solution. So whether, if we destroy the other Earth, does the Incursion happen? Who knows? And that's obviously a pretty morally heavy question to ask, is if we kill an entire planet of people to save our own, is that viable? So, like, the Illuminati don't really want that information to get out, that they're even thinking about that. So it's a very interesting problem for the Marvel heroes to try to solve. We've seen a couple things happen in the multiverse, in the Sacred Timeline, right? So in the Marvels, we saw kind of a crack to the X-Men universe, right, where Monica Rambeau goes through and meets Beast and what looks like her mother, but is actually binary, right? So, I mean, that could be the start of the Incursion, is it in the Marvels? It could be the Fantastic Four coming to escape their big threat, whether it's Galactus or something else. It's hard to say. But I think if I had to guess, the Incursion would happen between the X-Men universe and the sacred timeline. So I'm going to say the Fantastic Four ship coming through is not the thing that starts the incursion. No.
Will we see the Watchers again?
Man, they're really trying to do a kind of faithful Galactus trilogy, it seems, with just the cookie cutter, Silver Surfer coming to tell the Earth it's marked for death, and Galactus coming to eat it. So I think we are going to get a Watchers cameo, even if it's in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with a Stan Lee cameo. So I think they are very interested in doing the Watchers again in some capacity. And then we also have in What If, right? Jeffrey Wright plays the Watcher. And so even if we just get a superimposed image of the Watcher, like as almost an Easter egg in the clouds, I think we are going to see the Watcher, yes. Yeah, so the Avengers. I do think, given the events of the Thunderbolts end credit scene, where they're already starting to build tension between the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts at Asterisk, right? And the Avengers, we'll call them like Captain America's Avengers. I do think it's obvious that they're going to be in the movie, yes.
So starting with Captain America.
Sam Wilson will 100% be on the team, as he's been tapped by Thaddeus Ross to create the Avengers, yes.
And Falcon.
I think Falcon is probably the only person I know 100% will be on the team, is his sidekick, Falcon. It will be on the Avengers, yes.
Wong.
Wong is the Phil Coulson, or even like the Nick Fury of Phase 4 and 5. He just seems to know everybody, seems to be bringing them into the fold. So I think Wong is a natural choice to be in the Avengers, even if he's still kind of based in the Sanctum Sanctorum and doing his duties as the Sorcerer Supreme. He's going to, in some capacity, be in the Avengers, so I'm going to say yes.
What about his best buddy, Madison?
Madison, do we get to see a Madison cameo, basically? I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. She's not in the Avengers, but she'll hopefully be in the movie.
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi. So yeah, Shang-Chi will be one of the people that Wong brings in. So hopefully he's in the Avengers. I mean, the last we really heard of the Avengers besides Brave New World was kind of the FaceTime Avengers is really what I've been calling them in my head. So in Endgame, right? Like they had like that FaceTime call between like Okoye and Rocket Raccoon and Captain Marvel, and so like they keep doing that. It's basically showing that like everyone on the FaceTime call or the Zoom or whatever is an Avenger, and so like hopefully that team is kind of where Sam goes to kind of fill their roster, and it looks like Wong has brought Shang-Chi in. Shang-Chi will probably be in the Avengers.
Katie?
Katie, his friend, the Archer, played by Awkwafina in the Shang-Chi movie. So Wongers, to quote Madison, Wongers brings Shang-Chi and Katie in, so I do think Katie will be in the Avengers.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, also on the Zoom call, also in the Avengers, I'm going to predict.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is a hard one because he seems to like doing his own thing, but if Wong is starting to pull people in, I feel like Strange is a natural choice to join the Avengers in their time of need. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Clea. Hard to say. If Doctor Strange is brought in, he could basically only bring a couple people in, and she would be one of the people that he taps to help in their time of need. Given I don't know if they're doing a Doctor Strange 3 officially, it's obviously rumored, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, just because I don't know when else she'd show up.
Bats the Ghost Dog.
I love Bats. Oh my gosh. If we see Bats in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, I would cry really hard, because I love him. But if we don't, we'd better see him in Doctor Strange 3. I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
He is in Rivals, which I think is promising for them putting him in anything else. Yeah. Ant-Man?
Sam Wilson bringing in people himself. Right. The clear leader of the Avengers, basically the only person to be 100% confirmed in the Avengers, will probably call on his old friend, Scott Lang, Tic Tac, to join the Avengers. I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Wasp.
You get Ant-Man, you get Wasp. They're a duo. Yeah, they're a package deal. So you get Ant-Man, you get Wasp, yes.
Hulk.
I think Smart Hulk is here to stay from what we've seen. Now that, like, the last time we saw him, right, was in She-Hulk, obviously, but before that, it was in Shang-Chi, and his arm was in a sling, right? Because he clearly had just done the snap with the nano gauntlet to bring everybody back. It seems like now that his arm is healed, he's comfortable being in the Smart Hulk persona. So I think, will Bruce Banner be in the Avengers? Yes. I also think that he'll be in the Smart Hulk form for the majority of the time. So yes.
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk's hard. So if you're getting Professor Hulk, right, or even just Bruce Banner, because he's in the FaceTime Avengers, he's on the call in Shang-Chi with Captain Marvel. I don't see a world where he doesn't call his cousin to bring her in. I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Okoye?
Okoye. She's also kind of one of the last pieces of like that remnants of like the FaceTime Avengers. I hope we get Okoye. Whether or not we get any other Wakandans, I really hope Okoye, at a minimum, is in the Avengers. I want to say yes.
Shuri.
She's got a lot to do. She's now going to be the queen. Her mom and her brother and her dad all left her with a huge weight on her shoulders. Okoye could ask her for help. I'm going to go ahead and guess no, only because, like, was Black Panther in the Avengers? Obviously he, helped in the Battle of Wakanda, but it's only really because Cap kind of reached out, hey, the aliens are coming, we need an army. And so, like, obviously both T'Challa and Shuri are down to help. I just don't know how on the Avengers they're really going to be. After a certain point, when you have a roster of a dozen plus people, you start to question who's really on the team. I think, obviously, in any big fight, she'll be there. It's just, will she be kind of parading in the Avengers with Captain America? I don't think so, just because she has a lot to do.
M'Baku.
M'Baku's great. If there's a big fight and M'Baku's going to be there, I don't think he'll be in the Avengers, but I will think he'll be in the movies.
Ayo?
Ayo. So she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She was one of the few Wakandans we saw, and I believe she took the Winter Soldier's arm off first before Bob did it. Again, big fight. She'll be in the movie. Yes. In the Avengers, probably not.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. He keeps showing up. He's not going away. He was in like all the Spider-Man movies. He was in Secret Invasion, obviously. He was in the Marvels. He keeps showing up to support. So if there's a version of the Avengers that has Sam Wilson leading it, hopefully he reaches out to Nick Fury for some help in some capacity. He kind of seems to be like positioning himself in like a sword organization now that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone. So now he's kind of doing like space-related things. I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Thor.
Thor's hard. Where is Thor? Who knows? He was on Earth, hanging out in New Asgard with his daughter. I hope Thor's in it. I think Thor's in the movie. I think they actually officially announced that Chris Hemsworth was going to be in it. Will he be on the team? I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
The Mighty Thor, Jane Foster.
Jane Foster. So last we saw Jane Foster was in another end credit scene. And if you read the comics, you know that Valhalla is where she is, right, in the end credit scene. I believe talking to Heimdall, who's offering her the gifts of Valhalla. And if you read the comics, you know that she rejects those gifts because she has more to do. So I really, really, really want to go ahead and say yes, that Jane Foster will continue to be the mighty Thor and will be on the Avengers.
Thor's kid?
Thor's kid. Do they have a name? Who knows? Seemingly just another young Avenger. So I'd hope that Odin's son keeps her safe instead of inviting her to battle. I want to say no.
Valkyrie?
Valkyrie. Also a leader of a nation with a lot to do. I don't think she'll be on the Avengers. I don't even know if she'll be in one of those big fights because she, unlike Wakanda, leading New Asgard on Earth, they don't really have a whole lot of army from what we saw in the last couple movies. So I'm going to go ahead and say no in Avengers, but yes in the movie.
Throg the Thor Frog.
The Thor Frog. I want to say no. I love the Thor Frog, but I don't think he'll be in the movie or in the Avengers.
War Machine.
War Machine. To be honest, Secret Invasion was hard to follow. I don't really know if he got captured and then I think he's alive because he was replaced with a Skrull. I think his back is better from the events of Civil War. I think he's good. I think he will show up and be on the team. Yes.
Hawkeye, Clint Barton.
Clint Barton. Well, they recently said that he was going to be in season 2 of Hawkeye in his own show, but they were going to pay him like half of what he was paid in season 1, so that's kind of concerning. So maybe he's not even in season 2 of Hawkeye. Maybe it's just Kate Bishop. I hope he gets on the team. I would not blame him for actually retiring. It seems like all he wants to do is retire, so I'm going to go ahead and say no. He's probably passing the torch to the new generation of not only Avengers, but Hawkeyes. He's probably hanging up the cowl for good, so no.
Agent 19, Laura Barton.
His wife. Probably why he's retiring. Spend time with his wife and kids. I'm going to go ahead and say no, she's probably not in the Avengers. If they show them at all, it will probably be just to say that they are retiring.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, he would be the last of the FaceTime Avengers. He showed up in Endgame on the call, making fun of Carol's hair and stuff like that. It's hard to tell if they're going to call Rocket. It seems very Earth-based with the Incursions. And although there's some space stuff going on, I want to go ahead and say the Guardians are taking a back seat for a lot of other characters to come to the forefront. I'm going to say Rocket is a big no.
The Young Avengers or the Champions?
Oh, man. So, the version of these movies, the Doomsday and Secret Wars that exist inside my head, based on everything we've seen, has a lot to do with the Avengers and the New Avengers, the Fox X-Men team, and the Young Avengers, or the Champions, right? The team that Kamala, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, Riri Williams, hopefully are building. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, they're going to be in these 2 movies.
So Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel's big yes.
Hawkeye, Kate Bishop.
Big yes.
Lucky the Pizza Dog.
Oh, man, if we get Kate Bishop, we get Lucky, so yes, I hope he's in the movie, yes.
Stature, Cassie Lang.
Yes, she is not only mentioned by Kamala in that scene, but also on like the Disney cruise special scene that they filmed, she was in that too, so yes.
Miss America, America Chavez.
America Chavez, yes. She, I think last we saw in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and in the Disney cruise scene or whatever, she's in that. So I think she's on the Young Avengers, yes.
Ironheart.
Ironheart. Her show comes out next month, and I think she will be on the Young Avengers, yes.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. He seemingly wants to cut ties with everybody in his life since they keep getting hurt. So I want to say that he'll be there to fight, but he will not join the Young Avengers. No.
Wiccan.
Wiccan seems like another natural fit for the Young Avengers. I just don't know how anyone would know him, but I still am tentatively going to say yes.
And his brother Tommy?
I think a big part of that would hinge on him either already having saved Tommy or asking the Young Avengers to help him go save Tommy. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. If Billy's on the team, Tommy will likely be on the team.
Scar?
Scar. Okay, so we saw Hulk's son from Thor Ragnarok from Sakaar kind of crash into the car that ended up giving Jen Walters her powers, right? So at the last episode, we saw his son finally with the terrible haircut that everybody roasts on the internet. He also seems like a natural fit. I just don't know that he's well received, so I don't know if they are going to make him like a central character, but I think he will be on the team, yes.
Patriot, Eli Bradley.
That one's kind of hard. So he's a classic Young Avenger from the comics, but how fleshed out he is in the shows and in the movies is a little rough. So he was in the Falcon Winter Soldier. I think he was playing second fiddle to John Walker's U.S. agent or Captain America. And so, like, yes, he's in the MCU. Yes, he's clearly the Patriot, but he's not really suited up yet. And so it seemed like you would be developing him in the same way that you're developing Joaquin Torres in the Brave New World movie. To be the Falcon, you'd kind of have to do that work just to make the Patriot a thing. I still think it's a yes, just based on the fact that they're laying down an obvious Young Avenger in the MCU. I just think it's going to take a little bit more work than audiences will probably want. But yes, I think it'll be on the team.
What about the X-Men? Do you think it's time?
The X-Men are going to be in at least Secret Wars. 100%. They're going to be in the movie. They've announced a lot of the Fox X-Men team actors, so it's clear the X-Men are going to be in these movies, yes. Beast, yes. Not only is his actor confirmed, but we already saw him in the Marvels.
Binary,
yes. So the actress who plays Maria Rambeau, who also played Captain Marvel in the Illuminati in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, is returning for yet another character. She's playing Binary, so yes.
Monica Rambeau,
man, if they open that bridge from the Fox universe to the Sacred Timeline and we don't get Monica Rambeau, I'm gonna be pissed. Yes, she better be in this movie.
Cyclops.
James Marsden is announced, so yes, he'll be in the movie. The field commander of the X-Men. Cyclops will be in Secret Wars, yes.
What about Professor X?
Man, they better film these movies before he dies. Yes, I do believe Charles Xavier will be returning in Secret Wars, yes.
Magneto?
Yes. Same thing with him.
Mystique,
the original Mystique, from the first X-Men movie, will be returning, yes. Not Jennifer Lawrence, who her Mystique died, but the original one.
Nightcrawler,
Alan Cummings. Yep, he'll be in that too. They announced him.
Gambit,
from Deadpool Wolverine. Yes, they announced him. He's officially coming back.
Storm,
man. Storm's my favorite X-Man. Do I think Halle Berry will return for these movies? No. So I'm gonna say no, but I really want her to be here.
Iceman
would be cool, pun intended. I think you have to have Iceman. I want to say yes, but I don't think they will, but I still want to say yes.
What about the X-Force?
The X-Force, alright, so will Deadpool in any capacity be in these movies? I think they did a lot of work in Deadpool Wolverine to annihilate every other universe except the X-Men universe and the Sacred Timeline, from what they said with the Time Cruncher and the TVA and all that jazz. So it seems like they're doing a lot of work just to save Deadpool and his friends. So I'm going to say yes, the X-Force will probably be in Secret Wars.
So Deadpool himself?
Yes.
Colossus,
yes.
Wolverine?
The Wolverine from the worst Wolverine, right? The almost disgraced one that did end up saving the universe. I think Hugh Jackman will once again suit up and be the Wolverine in Secret Wars.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
I don't think she's mandatory. I think they are very interested in getting Deadpool, Wolverine, Colossus back as kind of big name X-Men. But I do think they're going to bring Negasonic Teenage Warhead back for Secret Wars, yes.
Shatterstar.
He seems like another one to just kind of throw in a big battle scene with all the heroes. So I'm going to say yes.
Peter.
Do I think Peter will come back as a meme? Yes. And then probably promptly leave the movie or be killed.
Cyclops from Dark Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the Dark Phoenix team. I don't think so. So the reason why I'm saying that is it seems like they were getting the older actors, right? Like the ones not only that are older in age, but the ones from the older movies. They take place post the year 2000, whereas the younger team takes place, in the 90s and before. So I don't think they're going to pull from that simply because they're trying to get Deadpool. So they're kind of pulling from that era, like the 2000s on. But the only reason why I think it's worth talking about is because if you're talking about the Young Avengers or the Champions that Miss Marvel's on, she has a time-displaced Cyclops that is from the 60s who comes to kind of the current day. So that would be interesting. I still think it's not going to happen.
What about 90s Storm?
90s Storm is cool, and if they don't get Halle Berry, I think it'd be cool if she came back. So I don't think they're going to do it. So I'm going to say no. But please put Storm in this movie.
The 90s Nightcrawler?
He's cool too, but they do have Alan Cummings, so probably not.
'90s Professor X.
Yeah, James McAvoy's great, but they did announce the other actors, so no.
'90s Quicksilver, or honestly any Quicksilver.
Yeah, I mean they already brought in. He was one of the first X-Men, if not the first X-Men they brought back in the WandaVision show, and he ran super fast. He did the whole Quicksilver thing, so I don't see a world where they don't bring him back. But I also know that he's from that other time, right? The pre 2000 time. Evan Peters is probably going to be on board. He probably would love to come back, but that seemed to be kind of stuck on the WandaVision show. So I don't think they're going to do it. I think they'd probably recast Quicksilver if they really wanted to do him, which hurts my heart. But.
What about Vigilantes, Shadowlands, Defenders?
Okay, so this is Daredevil Born Again spoilers. So if you haven't seen that, turn the video off. Go watch Daredevil Born Again. If you did, we're talking about spoilers. So here we go. In that show, Daredevil says, we need an army, right, to beat Fisk. He's not going to recklessly run in and get killed like some close friends of his. So the we need an army is showing that some other heroes are going to come into play. So do I think Daredevil will be in Secret Wars? I actually don't. Even if She-Hulk shows up, I still don't think she's going to tap Matt, pun intended, to bring him into the movie. I don't think so.
What about Punisher?
Punisher also no. I think the Fisk versus the Vigilantes thing in New York is going to be a whole thing. Not only Daredevil Born Again, but probably other TV shows and or other movies. I just don't think they're going to be in the Avengers movies.
What about the Swordsman?
The Swordsman, even though it's Kate Bishop's stepdad, I guess, he's trapped. So I don't think he's going to be in it. But he is an Avenger. So if one of the people from the Daredevil show shows up, it'll probably be him because he was also on Hawkeye. So, gun in my head, I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
What about Echo?
Echo, I love Echo. I don't think she'll be in Avengers Endgame, but I do think she'll team up with Matt in his show.
Luke Cage?
Luke Cage, no, I don't think they're going to bring the Netflix Defenders into the Avengers movie. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think it's going to happen.
Jessica Jones.
Same thing. She's obviously a reluctant hero. She probably doesn't want to do anything. And even if she helps out Matt, I don't think she'll be in the Avengers movie.
Iron Fist?
I hope they recast him, or just kill him off. Probably not going to be in the Avengers movie.
Colleen Wing.
If one character, besides Daredevil, Punisher, and Karen, who have already shown up, if they save one more character from the Netflix universe, I hope it's Colleen Wing. And I hope she comes and helps Matt in his crusade against Fisk. But I don't think she'll be in the Avengers.
Misty Knight.
Misty Knight, the other half of the Daughters of the Dragon. I don't think she'll be in the Avengers movie.
White Tiger.
White Tiger, alright, so she is Hector Ayala's niece. I think she will suit up. I think they're kind of very clearly hinting at that. Of the people on the list that could be in the movie, she is also kind of geared up to be a young Avenger type thing. I don't think it's likely. Someone said no, but it'd be cool.
The Moon Knight!
Moon Knight! Man, I love Moon Knight. The show's great. And if they don't put him in this movie, I don't think I'll understand it. Because he's either going to have to be helping Daredevil defeat Fisk, or help the Avengers stop the Secret Wars thing, right? Otherwise, he's just a loner who only stays in his own show that I don't think is getting another season, is it? So, I'll just say yes, just to be wishful that he shows up in Secret Wars. He's got to show up somewhere. We love Moon Knight.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
So they broke up pretty clearly at the end of Guardians 3. They also reformed another Guardians with Rocket as the leader, right? You get a couple other characters. I just don't... unless they pick up the FaceTime and call Rocket, I don't see him coming back to Earth. I think they're trying to focus on other characters. I think the time for the Avengers and the Guardians teaming up to solve a big cosmic threat was Infinity War, and they already did that. So I'm going to say no.
Gamora?
Gamora's done, y'all. She's not coming back.
Mantis.
Mantis is also done. She quit. Nope.
Groot.
Groot is with Rocket, so if they call him, again, kind of like Ant-Man Wasp, Rocket and Groot are a package deal. I still don't think they're going to call him.
Drax.
Drax is done too. He's searching for meaning after Thanos is destroyed. What does his life look like? Is his family alive? He's got a lot of things to worry about, and Earth ain't one of them.
Nebula.
Nebula's done too. All the women from the Guardians of the Galaxy are off doing their own thing, and we gotta give them space. We gotta let them move on, as much as we love Nebula.
Adam Warlock.
It'd be a real shame to have Guardians 3 be the only movie with Adam Warlock in it. One, because I think they kind of wasted Adam Warlock in that movie. And also, I'd like to see more of Adam Warlock. He's on the Guardians at the end of Guardians 3, so if they do call Rocket, he'd be another person that would come. I just don't think they're going to call him.
Phyla-Vell.
Same thing. She was there for 5 seconds, and will come if called, but probably won't.
Kraglin.
Kraglin's cool. I like Kraglin. For people that don't know, Phyla-Vell, she's Quasar, and she's the young girl that you see running with the rest of the Guardians at the end of the Guardians 3 movie, with Kraglin, right, and Cosmo and all them. Kraglin's the one that uses Yondu's fin and arrow in Guardians 3, played by Sean Gunn. I don't think they're going to be in the movie, man. I really don't, but I like Kraglin a lot.
Cosmo?
Cosmo's cool. We like Cosmo. We love animals, just in general. And he's a good boy. No.
What about the Eternals?
The movie had mixed reviews. A lot of people either loved it and thought it was innovative and something fresh and new they hadn't seen from a superhero movie ever. It took place over thousands of years of human history, while seemingly also being intimate and personal, with characters that were all new, all introduced, and seemed well fleshed out. Kind of similar to the Inhumans, but just done insanely well, as the Inhumans show was not done well and had a ton of pitfalls. It seemed like they learned a huge lesson from Inhumans and incorporated all those lessons learned into Eternals and made a really good movie. But not everybody thought that. So if Guardians was going to be the team that teamed up with the Avengers in Infinity War, I think the Eternals could team up with the Avengers in Secret Wars. I'm not excited about it because, kind of like the Guardians, the Eternals are kind of scattered and almost broken up by the end of the movie. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, though. I think the Eternals are going to return just because they said they were.
So Athena?
Athena, yes. So when the Domo, the ship of the Eternals, is heading out in space, and Eros, Harry Styles, shows up with Pip the Troll, Patton Oswalt. Athena's one of the people on that ship, so I think that team is going to come back, just because if you have brother of Thanos, Eros, who knows the Eternals through Thanos' Eternals lineage, which they'll have to explain, it'd be a lot of heavy lifting, but yeah, I think Athena is going to be part of the team that helps. She seems like a helper and a fighter.
Makari?
Makari is also on the ship, and she was also probably one of the best received characters in the movie. Everyone seemed to like her, so I think she'll come back.
Druig?
Druig is also on the ship. I think he will come back. I just don't know how he'll be in the fight, really. His powers are kind of unique and not really combat focused, so we'll see.
Phastos?
Phastos. I don't even remember if Phastos was on the ship. I don't think he is, because he has a family back at home. I actually don't think he's going to be in the movie. Even if big things happen and heroes are required, I think he's good, just taking a backseat.
Eros and Pip?
Eros and Pip. Yep, they're going to show up because they showed up for 5 seconds in the end credit scene. And unless there's Ereshim's Judgment Day coming in the future in an Eternals 2, I don't see where they're going with that. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Sprite?
Sprite, I don't think so. Sprite seems like she's also done and taking a back seat and living her life. I'm going to say no.
Circe?
Circe. If you have Black Knight, who Dave Whitman is who she's dating, right? Her boyfriend, who ends up being the Black Knight in the end credit scene with his sword, the ebony blade. Maybe she can be convinced to come back. I mean, if they're doing Black Knight in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, I think you get Cersei back. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. But who knows?
Kingo.
I think Kingo's done, y'all. We did a lot of Kingo. He's great. We love Camila and Johnny, but they did a lot with him in What If season 3 as well. We got a lot of Kingo, and I think we're done. And not because everyone wants us to be done, but I think he's just going to say no to the fight.
Do you think Arishem will return to Earth for Judgment Day?
That's the thing. So Arishem he's a main villain of the Eternals, right? So his judgment of the Eternals is really a big cosmic event, right? So them stopping Tiamat from being born, right? A celestial from destroying the Earth and thus stopping the growth of new worlds by killing Tiamat. I think that would be the vehicle in which we get Galactus. So I think Arishem's judgment is coming, but that's a lot. So if you're doing Doctor Doom, you're doing Incursions, you're doing Arishem's judgment, you're doing Galactus, it's just a lot. So although I think, yes, that will happen, if I was in the writer's room and I was going to chop something, that would be the first thing that hits the gutter and floor. So I don't know if that's going to make the cut, but I think it is going to happen.
Alright, questions about the plot. Do you think they will run into a Thanos from another universe?
Yes. And I don't think it's going to be the Avengers. I think it's going to be Doctor Doom. Because Doctor Doom killing Thanos happens in the 2015 Secret Wars and kind of shows how powerful Doctor Doom is. So I do think we're going to get him, and I do think they're going to kill him. So if you get whatever world is crashing in the Incursion with the Sacred Timeline, I think that universe's Thanos comes and Doctor Doom kicks his ass.
Who do you think will be in the Illuminati in the Sacred Timeline?
That's rough. So the smartest people from the MCU, presumably if they find out about the incursions early and they have time to prepare for it, who do you think is the most well-equipped to stop it? I think Shuri. If Shuri teams up with anyone from the Avengers, I think it'll be in this capacity. In Infinity War, she's one of the smartest people in that movie who show up Bruce Banner and I think Tony Stark, whoever is talking about Vision, she's smarter than them. So Shuri's definitely on the Illuminati. I think Doctor Strange. I mean, Namor is in the Illuminati in the comics, but I don't really think they'll bring him into that capacity unless Shuri kind of calls on him to help, but they didn't really make that something that I think is going to happen. Man, who else? Bruce Banner. I think Bruce Banner will be back. Smart Hulk. I think Reed Richards, right, from the other universe, could come back. If Beast is friendly from the X-Men universe, he could help. If
Hank Pym?
They obviously have a large group of scientists they can pull from. Hank Pym is one of them. I think he's done in terms of like his MCU time, but obviously his multiverse and quantum realm knowledge would be great for that. But I'm gonna say no for him.
Bill Foster.
And Bill Foster, although I'd love to see him again, I'd love to see him suit up and talk about the incursions and punch things as Goliath. I think not. I think no.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury would be another good one. If he comes back, he would probably love to be in the room where it happens for that. We'll go ahead and say yes.
Valentina?
Oh boy. Valentina would probably be a bigger hindrance than a help in the Illuminati, which is why I think she would love to be in the Illuminati. So I'd say yes to her.
Will the incursion begin when the Fantastic Four ship breaks through to the Sacred Timeline?
I think we talked about that one, and I think the answer was no.
Which universe will crash into the Sacred Timeline?
Yeah, I think it'll be the Fox X-Men universe.
Will heroes from the Sacred Timeline try to destroy the other Earth?
So, y'all, if the X-Men universe and the Avengers universe are crashing into each other, they don't try to kill each other. I don't see how we get an Avengers versus X-Men movie without it kind of becoming political and turning into like Civil War type fighting. So I really want to say yes. I think the Avengers are going to convince themselves that they have to destroy the other Earth, the entire planet, to save their Earth. And I think they're going to fight the X-Men.
So you think we'll get an MCU Avengers versus X-Men?
Yes.
Will the Avengers, New Avengers, and Young Avengers team up?
Yeah, once they realize the stakes of it all, I think Sam Wilson would have no problem bringing 4 or 5 extra people into the Avengers. I don't really think the branding issue is a big thing once you realize the entire world's going to end. So, yes, I think they'll team up. But will they invite the kids? I think my whole prediction for the entire movie is based on the fact that the Avengers bench the entire sidekick team, all the kids, everyone under the age of 25, not coming. And then they fail, and the Young Avengers have to kind of save the multiverse in their own way and become heroes in their own right. So that's my big prediction for the Young Avengers and the other Avengers.
Will Chris Evans appear as Captain Hydra leading the Dark Avengers? With Tom Cruise as Superior Iron Man.
Look, it wouldn't be a question if it wasn't a rumor, but we've had the Superior Iron Man rumor before with Tom Cruise, and it ended up being a big old no once we saw the movie. Chris Evans loves coming back, whether it's Human Torch or whatever else. I think that'd be cool. I think Dark Avengers would be a lot to do. It would kind of be very like Earth 2 DC of them to do, which would be kind of cool. But I think the X-Men are a more obvious choice, so I'm going to say no.
Is Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom going to be Kang Iron Lad variant? Or have killed the Council of Kangs?
Okay, so will he be Iron Lad, essentially? Will he be Kang from the future and all that, while also being Doom simultaneously? That would make sense. That would also be a lot of like lore to dump on us. I think it's easier for them to say Doom has killed all of the Kangs and stops the multiversal war and kind of sees himself as this savior and this hero. That would be a little bit easier to say, hey, I just killed all Kangs and I killed Thanos and I'm super strong. So, do I think he's Iron Lad? No. Do I think he killed the Kangs? Yes.
Will Doom save both worlds?
Yes. So I think this version of Doom is going to do what Doctor Doom did in the 2015 Secret Wars and save both worlds while the Avengers abandon it, leading him to be kind of a hero of both worlds. Yes. I think he's going to be the smartest person on the planet and the only one to know how to stop the Incursion.
Will Doom go after Loki to try and control the multiverse?
Also a rumor. Man, that's a hard one. The rumor, if you haven't heard it, is that Doom is going to go after Loki to control the multiverse, and that Thor and Deadpool are going to try to stop him. And that's the scene that we see in Deadpool Wolverine with Deadpool holding a dying Thor and crying. The fans have come up with this plot that Doom's going after Loki and Thor's trying to save his brother. So I don't know. Thor, I don't even think knows where his brother is or what he's done. He doesn't really seem like a good brother. So that's a hard sell. I don't think so. I think Loki's also done, to be honest with you. I think Loki's just kind of that's his happily ever after, is being, the god of the multiverse or whatever.
The tree. Will the Avengers fight Galactus?
We're just asking the big Secret Wars questions. It's hard. Whether Arishem brings him or Doctor Doom brings him to fight the Avengers, I think yes. It's really hard to tell, because like once you start talking about the movie, you know a couple things about it. You know Secret Wars is happening, whatever that means. You know Doctor Doom is in it in whatever capacity, but like we don't really know the ins and outs of the movie. We don't have a trailer. We don't have much besides half the cast. So I'm still going to say yes, but it's really hard to tell how they're going to bring them in.
Rapid fire possible characters.
Rapid fire.
We're going to go quick. I'm just going to say names, you answer. Vision.
Yes.
Hercules.
Yes.
Namor.
Yes.
Black Knight.
Yes.
Wonder Man.
I think his show comes out after. No.
Moon Knight.
Yes.
Scarlet Scarab.
Yes.
Star-Lord.
Unfortunately, yes. He's on Earth.
Elsa Bloodstone.
No.
Man-Thing.
No.
Werewolf by Night.
No.
Bill Foster.
No.
Happy Hogan.
No.
Loki.
No.
Sylvie.
Yes.
Hunter B-15.
Yes. From the TVA.
Kang.
Yes. Whether reference or showing up, I think yes.
Ruth Batstra.
She was in Brave New World. She's like the Black Widow from that movie. I don't think she's coming back.
Captain Carter.
Yes.
Black Bolt.
Yes.
Lockjaw.
Hopefully yes.
Wanda.
Hopefully yes.
Cloak and Dagger.
From the show, no.
Runaways.
No.
Hellstrom.
No, that show is terrible.
Mephisto.
I don't know how they do that, but he's coming at some point. Probably not this movie.
Beta Ray Bill.
No.
Doombots.
Yeah, I think especially if you're having an Iron Man nanotech guy, I think you're getting Doombots, 100%.
Ultron.
Yes?
Kingpin.
No.
Red Hulk.
No.
Zemo.
Yes.
Abomination.
No, I think he's done.
Baron Mordo.
Yes?
Killmonger.
No.
Agent 13. Sharon Carter.
No.
Death. Rio. My girl.
No.
Xialing.
Xialing. Yes.
Dormammu.
Dormammu. I just wanted to say Dormammu. No.
Leapfrog.
Ribbon and Rip It. No.
Titania.
From She-Hulk. No.
Hank Pym.
No.
Janet Van Dyne.
No.
Lewis and the Gang?
Oh, from Ant-Man. Luis. Are we gonna get a recap from Luis
That'd be great.
of the entire MCU? That'd be great. I don't think so.
Venom. My boy.
Dude. No.
X-23.
No.
Elektra.
No.
Blade.
No.
Kahori.
That would be
But
cool. No.
Howard the Duck.
No.
Birdie the Duck.
Also no.
That's all I got. You wanna say goodbye?
Yeah, the what if characters are fun. If they do anything with that, it'd be hard because they already said they destroyed a bunch of the universes in Deadpool Wolverine. But I do love those characters. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really did enjoy doing my predictions for Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and even Fantastic Four a little bit in there. So thanks for watching. What do you think I got wrong? Let me know in the comments. Or what questions do you have about my predictions for Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars? Thanks for watching.